In the small, growing town of Ridley Park, Pennsylvania, a vision was born. On December 3, 1874, a group gathered in the Ridley Park Hotel with one purpose: to plant a Presbyterian church. Just a month later, on the first Sunday of January 1875, the first Sunday school session was held, right in the hotel's dining room. By September, the congregation called Reverend Dr. Greer as their first pastor. In December, a build-in committee was formed to bring the church to life. On September 10, 1876, that dream became reality. The original Ridley Park Presbyterian Church, a modest wooden structure, was dedicated. Built for $5,726, it stood proudly near the corner of Swarthmore and Ridley Avenues. The church family began to grow. In February of 1877, the first communion was held with 28 worshipers. By March, a manse was rented to house Reverend Greer, a temporary home until a permanent one was built in 1882 for just over $5,000. As the years passed, the wooden church expanded, enclosing space for children in 1883 and doubling its seating by 1896. After Reverend Greer's retirement in 1884, the church welcomed new leadership. Reverend Henry Northrup in 1887, followed by Reverend Frederick Swartz Crawford in 1893. Crawford brought light, quite literally, as electric lights were installed in 1900. In 1901, Reverend Samuel Thomas Linton became the fourth pastor, and the manse was electrified too. By 1907, the congregation had outgrown its wooden walls. A committee was formed to explore building a new church. Their efforts bore fruit in 1915. On June 6, a beautiful stone church, our present sanctuary, was dedicated. Designed by Philadelphia architect Thomas Kellogg and built by the Pomeroy Construction Company, it cost nearly $50,000 at the time, the equivalent of over $1.5 million today. Reverend Linton served faithfully until his passing in 1916, followed by a succession of pastors who each shaped the church's legacy. Reverend Frederick Linnerick, Reverend David Hughes Edwards, Reverend Frederick Schweitzer, and in 1946, Reverend James Harold Guy began a 32-year ministry that would see remarkable growth and transformation. In 1952, a major addition expanded the church's footprint, creating new office space, a cradle room, kitchen, and restrooms. By 1960, an education wing was added to serve both the Sunday school and the Ridley Park Presbyterian Nursery School. The 1960s brought renovation, new lighting, a rebuilt organ, and continued dedication to worship and learning. In 1978, Reverend Guy delivered his final sermon and remained a beloved member of the community until his passing in 1982. In 1980, Reverend Marwood B. Meredith, Jr. took the pulpit, leading the congregation into a new decade. He was honored in 1992 as moderator of the Philadelphia Presbytery, before leaving for Tusculum College the following year. In 1994, Reverend Walter L. Doss stepped in as interim pastor, guiding the church until 1996. In 1996, Reverend Noel Allen joined the church as its 11th pastor, arriving from the First Presbyterian Church in Aurora, Illinois. During his time in Ridley Park, the church transitioned from a bicameral to a unicameral leadership structure, reflecting a more unified approach to governance. It was also under his guidance that the contemporary worship service was introduced, initially held in the evening. By 2000, air conditioning was added to the sanctuary, providing greater comfort for the growing congregation. In 2003, Reverend Allen followed a new calling to upstate New York, and Reverend Bill Thompson stepped in as interim pastor to help guide the church through transition. In 2005, Reverend Michael Smith, originally from Florida, accepted the call to become the 12th pastor, relocating from South Carolina. During his tenure, the contemporary service shifted to a Sunday morning offering, continuing to attract worshipers seeking a more modern expression of faith. Reverend Smith retired in 2018 and now resides in Georgia. Later that year, Reverend James Thomas became the church's 13th and current pastor, bringing with him experience and energy from Lewistown Presbyterian Church in central Pennsylvania. In 2020, at the onset of the COVID epidemic, Reverend Thomas introduced online services, making it possible for Sunday worship to continue without interruption. This not only sustained the congregation during a difficult time but also carried the church's message beyond its own walls. From humble beginnings in a hotel dining room to the enduring presence of a beloved stone church, Ridley Park Presbyterian Church has remained a steadfast beacon of faith, fellowship, and community. Its story is not written only in stone, steel, or wood, but in the hearts of the people who have called it home for generations.